put a video together on how to convert your Vito headlamps into projector style headlamps using a universal kit, which you can buy off eBay out of Hong Kong for about $45 Australian. So not bad value at all for a 2.5 inch diameter projector. So I've already done the left hand one, and that's what it looks like. I think it looks great. It's it looks like a professional factory projector headlamp. So I used this one as the guinea pig to work out what to do. So the video I've got is of how to do the other side, based on what I learnt doing this one here. So the total cost is only in the order of about $45 for the projector, and then you'll need a HID 35 watt H1 bulb kit with the ballasts and everything, and they're about $25 delivered. So for less than $100, probably around 75 Australian, you can convert your headlights to projector headlamps, and I think they look really good. And from what I can gather on my car, they perform really well because they're the best headlights I've ever had on a vehicle. So I hope you enjoy the video. Right hand headlight out of the car. Now, if you don't know how to do that, there is a video of how to remove the headlamps from your Vito, so have a look at that if you're not sure how to do it. First thing to do is we need to take off this rubber trim from around the outside, and that's held on by those little tags. You just unclip. Right, so that's that off. Now you'll find that there'll be quite a lot of dirt and grit, dead insects trapped in here, and it's a good idea to clean that off first before we take the lens off. Don't want to get any of that grit or dead insect debris getting into the mastic that seals this lens. That's clean now. I've already done a conversion to high intensity discharge HID lights, and I've also done a video on that if you're interested. So they're the HID cables coming out there, but I'll leave them for the time being. Is to remove the clips. There's 4 clips, 2 here and 2 underneath. Very easy to take off. Just put a screwdriver in there and you can just twist. Is on the outside corner of the headlamp is a screw, which we need. This is now ready to come off, and to get this lens off, what we have to do is make ourselves a hot air oven using your hairdryer or your wife's hairdryer. So if you're a man, good idea to do this when she's not home, because you'll need to pinch her hairdryer. And we have to heat the headlamp up to soften the mastic that sits around the outside here, otherwise you cannot get this off. And I've found it takes about 5 minutes or so, and you can make that oven out of a reasonable sized cardboard box and just poke the nozzle of the hairdryer in there. I've actually, when I was doing the other lamp, I used this created this as the hot air oven, and it worked very well, so I'll show you. Okay, I'll just remove the rear cover and pulled all the globes out. I didn't think I needed to show you that. Now the next thing to do is we have to remove this fitting around here and remove the bulb cap. And to remove that bulb cap, it's quite straightforward. You need a small screwdriver and you just need to lever, starting at the top here, well it's actually the bottom of the headlamp, but starting at this end, just get your little screwdriver under and just lever it up and it'll unclip like that. There's the base of the bulb cap there. I'll just get a pair of needle nose pliers and just grip it there. So there's the bulb cap. Here's the projector kit here. You can see the little solenoid just there that operates this little flap. So when it's on low beam, the flap's there, and when it's on high beam, the solenoid pulls that out of the way, get the full aperture. So these two wires here have to be connected to your high beam. And this is the shroud that goes over there, and that's just held on by some self-tapping screws. And then these are the fittings you get. I found I didn't need to use that one, so I only needed these two rubber ones and that metal one there, and then that's the clip that goes into here. That's the clip that goes into there to hold your H1 bulb in. So while this headlamp is heating up in my hot air oven, you need to remove this fitting on the end here. So I'll just undo those 3 screws and take that off, and then that rubber washer goes onto there. So I'll do that while it's heating up. It makes a hell of a noise, so I'll just film myself doing that while it's heating. So here's my setup with the hairdryer. All I've done is I've used one of my axle stands and just used some duct tape and taped the hairdryer onto it. We've got the nozzle poked into the door, and I just turn that on high. Probably takes 5 minutes or so to warm it up. Don't use a hot air gun because they're far too hot, you'll probably melt something. So just a hairdryer on high speed is fine, and on full temperature. So let's get this going. So just place that in there. Towards the back, because I don't want that directed straight at the lens or the headlight. I want it to be pointing away from it. It does get very warm in there. And then all I did is I closed the door onto it like that, and then just got another towel. And just put that there to roughly seal it. And then I turned it on. What I recommend doing, so you can see I've put this shroud on with the 4 self-tapping screws. With the cable here, you want to get some bright silver tape, like this, and put a piece of bright silver tape over these red and black wires, right up to the rubber washer there, because if you don't, the reflector will magnify that and you'll actually see it in the headlight. This is the top of the projector, and it's actually got it stamped on their top. This is all metal, and the solenoid wires come out on the bottom, which is exactly where you want them to be. So you want them to be on the bottom because they conveniently fit into the slot left after removing the bulb cap. Best if you can to use quite a broad, flat piece of metal. Less chance of damaging the plastic. Well, I had to start off with the biggest screwdriver I had. Okay, so this is quite warm. I found it easier when I did the other one to start off in this corner here. That's the inside corner with a fairly broad screwdriver, as broad as you can get. And just slowly work it around. Just put it in the gap there and just twist carefully. Don't want to break anything here. Coming apart. It's not easy. It's well and truly stuck in there. So the gap's just slowly increasing. So now I'm going to try to get my broader tool in. This is quite thick, and it's actually, you know, that is slowly coming out. Yesterday was I got it to a point this under one corner there, like that, and now I'll put it back in the oven, and because it's under tension now, it seemed to sort of almost work itself out for the other half, so I'll put it back in for a while. Okay, I've just given it a bit more of a baking, and it's pretty hot. That's too hot to hold. Yeah, it's coming out quite easily now. There you go. There's the lens off. So no matter how hard you try, you still seem to get a little bit of debris in the groove there of the mastic. So I just had to scrape that out. There's a bit of insect debris. So I've put the big rubber washer in now. So here's the projector. That has to go through the hole where the low beam globe goes. And remember, the top is marked, and also that slot there is the top. So I'll poke it through the hole, and the red and black wires conveniently fit into the slot where the bulb cap was. So that's in there, and I'm trying very hard not to touch the reflector, so that's in the middle. There's the wires coming out. First thing, I'll put that rubber washer on, like that. Then this is the adapter fitting. I also found I had to just get the round file and run it through that because it was a very, very tight fit. So we put that on. And now put the big nut on. That's nice and firm. I think that's fine. And just check. Yep, that feels good. So it wants to have a little bit of movement because remember that's sitting on a rubber washer, and also you cannot see the red and white wires at all because we put that silver tape on there. The next thing to do is we'll put the little fitting back on here, So that goes that way. This is the actual bulb holder fitting. Okay. Well, I think that's about right. I mean, that to me looks like a professional out of the factory style projector. With a clean cloth, I'm just going to make sure there's no fingerprints or anything on here. This is a micro. Do with the lens before we put it back on is we need to give it a good clean all around the edges here. You can see that dirt on there. Touch the shiny stuff that can go in. And I'll put the lens in as well. I've just had it in the oven now. I'm just looking at the gap between the black and the lens there, and it's basically as it was before when I started taking it off, so I don't think I can get it in anymore. So that's what it looks like. While I was heating the headlamp again, I just cut the H7 bulb off and put an H1 bulb on there that I had in a set of spotlights. So that's a 35 watt HID H1 bulb. So the next job we've got to do is, I found it easier just to cut this terminal off the end here. So this is these are the wires that operate the solenoid. Just bare the ends, just a few millimetres off the ends, and okay, that's the low beam power supply there, so that supplies the top one. This is the high beam, and you can actually open the top there by pulling these little clips back, and then that opens up. And what I did is, the other one I just soldered those two wires onto the end of the terminals. So the brown is the negative, so the black one went onto there and the red one went onto the white. There. That's done. So those two spade connectors, this is the high beam, I'll close that again. Those two spade connectors go in here. The black one corresponds with the brown, the yellow one corresponds with the yellow in this case. Alright, that's the high beam in. Now for the low beam. H1 bulb, only go one way. Okay, so that is pretty well done. I think all those connections are finished. So now I can put the lid back on. Last thing to do is put the rubber trim back on. Now I've cleaned this up with some silicone spray. Mercedes Vito is very sensitive to changes in the wattage of the headlight bulbs. So if you're using 35 watt, which is recommended in the low beam, then you'll possibly get an error message, so you may need a load resistor. And then if you're using 55 watts in the high beams, remember you're also operating the solenoids for the projectors in the high beam circuit. So you're likely to trip the relay when the engine's not running. When the engine's running, you're fine because the voltage is higher, therefore the amps are lower. So if you're having issues there, you may need to wire your solenoids separately through a relay and switch the power with the relay direct from the battery terminal in the fuse box in the engine compartment, and just use the high beam circuit to trigger that relay.